Hello there and welcome back once again to Jamie's Running. It is New Year's Eve and I'm about to run my 70th half marathon of 2020. Let's get this done. So for this I'm going to drive to Newcastle Town Moor, which is a couple of miles away from home. It's a lovely spot. It's a place that I've run regularly. The Newcastle Park Run is hosted there when it's not locked down. It's really picturesque, and so I figured it would be a really nice place to do my final half marathon of the year. So why did I choose to do 70 half marathons in the year? Well, actually my initial target was to run at least 60 half marathons, and that was all for the charity, the Campaign Against Living Miserably, or CALM. I'm doing it in memory of Anthony, who was my best man. He was one of my oldest and closest friends, and unfortunately in August of 2019 he took his own life unexpectedly. CALM are a charity that offers support to people who are in a dark place, and not only that, but they also offer bereavement support to friends and family members of those that have unfortunately died of suicide. And they offered support to Anthony's friends and family during their period of grief. For me, it was after August 2019 that I really started to run a lot. I've touched on it in an earlier video about my running journey to date, where I mentioned Anthony's death and the subsequent increase in running. And what I found was it was my way to escape and to think about what had happened, to really process my thoughts away from the distractions of daily life, busy family life, busy work life, and just allow myself to grieve. It was while running that I really sort of found solace, and it was through running that I really just allowed myself to process all of those thoughts, the things that you could very easily just put away and store away for another day because you're just too busy to think about them. But I was able to process those thoughts, give it a lot of thinking time, and eventually start to come to terms with what had happened. So what I wanted to do as I headed towards the end of 2019 and into 2020, I wanted to try and use my running, which had helped me so much, to give a little something back. And by doing this challenge of running at least 60 half marathons in the year, I want to raise funds and awareness for the cause of the Campaign Against Living Miserably. I hit 60 half marathons early to mid-December and didn't want to stop there. I figured I could squeeze a few more in before the year was through. And as I say, I'm up to 70 now. It's the 31st of December. So I've overshot that target by 10. Not only that, I also raised more funds than I'd initially set out to do, almost 300%. So I'm really happy with how it's turned out. There's been radio interviews, there's been features in the local newspaper, and so there's really been quite a lot of awareness raised for CALM, which I think is a pretty positive outcome. It's been quite an emotional journey, to be honest. Every single run that I do, especially my long runs, I'm thinking of Anthony the whole time. It's a tragic end to such a young life. But unfortunately, there's too many people who are having to go through the same situation, and something needs to be done to try and stop that. So getting into a little bit about the run. So as I say, it's been 69 half marathons, plus there was the Ultra North 55-kilometer ultra marathon in October. So strictly speaking, you could say that it's been 69 half marathons plus 2 half marathons within one run. But there was somebody on my Instagram page at jamies.running, if you don't already follow me, check it out. There was somebody on there had mentioned that because I hadn't set out to do a half marathon distance, I'd set out to do the ultra, it didn't count towards my goal. And so I couldn't get that out of my head and decided that it didn't count. It was just a cherry on top of the cake when it comes to counting up the totals. So it will, after today, it will be 70 half marathons plus 1 ultra marathon, which I think is a pretty good achievement. When I set out at the very start of the year, the idea of running at least 1 half marathon per week seemed quite overwhelming. It seemed like not an impossible task, but certainly a big challenge. The funny thing is, as we've got through the year, the more that I've done half marathons, the more resilience and the more endurance I seem to have. The strength in my legs seems to have increased, and actually in the last week and a half I've done 8, I think, half marathons. So being able to run consecutive days or run with just one day of rest or an easy run in between is something that 1 year ago I wouldn't have been able to do. And so just by building up that resilience, the first half of the year it was probably once a week. Second half of the year I can be knocking out 2, 3, as I said about last week, 4 or 5 I think in a week that I knocked out. So it's quite interesting to see just how quickly the body can adapt to that different workload. And I think a big part of that, not only is it building up the muscle resilience and all of that sort of stuff, but I've been taking a real active interest in my running and researching, listening to podcasts, audiobooks, that sort of thing on how to improve running form, therefore getting better at running, becoming more efficient. And I think that's then translated into just being able to do more of it because I'm doing higher quality of running, if that makes sense. It's been a journey that in the most part I've really enjoyed. I've met people that I otherwise would never have done, whether it's through social media channels, through YouTube, through Instagram, or just chatting to people who I've ended up finding out they're a runner too and then going for a run with. There was one example when I was away with work earlier in the summer. A guy had overheard me complaining that one of my races had been cancelled again. He sort of piped up and said, oh, I also run, I've brought my running shoes with me away to this conference that we were at. And then we went out for a run that night and ran a half marathon together. And the next day at work, people thought we were a little bit mad, but that's just kind of the way that runners are. You get to know one another through running, and it's actually quite interesting. Without a doubt, 2020 has probably been one of the most challenging years that a lot of us will ever experience. And I think for me, the running has helped me get through that in a way. It's a really great release. It's a way to just get away from the distractions, the lockdown, the COVID, all of that sort of stuff, and just spend some time doing what you love, what you enjoy. And I use it as a time to learn as well. So very rarely will I get a chance to just sit down and read a book, for example. However, when I'm running, I listen to audiobooks. So not only am I working the body, but to an extent, I'm also working my mind as well. And I think that's really a big part of it for me. That bit of escapism, that bit of distraction, and that bit of a chance just to have some self-reflection time, a bit of learning time, and that sort of thing. And I make sure I get that run done regardless of the conditions. So I've run in the blazing heat of the south of France. I've run in absolutely freezing conditions. So outside today, it is incredibly icy. I've just sat and waited for 10 minutes for the car to defrost. The paths are going to be treacherous, but it's not going to be fast, but I will make sure that I get it done. I've ran in snow, I've run in hail, I've run in rain, and it's often those runs that are the most challenging while you're doing them that you feel the most satisfaction once you've got it done. You've really earned that nice hot cup of coffee that is sitting waiting for you at the finish line. And one thing I am thinking about is what is going to be my challenge for 2021. I feel that there's going to be a bit of a void that I'm going to need to fill once these 70 half marathons are complete. And as yet, I've not come up with a suitable challenge. I do quite like the idea of doing some speed work, getting fast, see what PBs I can get if races start to open up again, which I'm hoping that they will. But is there going to be something that can fill my runs in the same way as the regular long runs have done to date? Right, we're just pulling up at the town moor now, and so what I'm going to do is going to get out the car, get myself sorted, and get to the start line. See you soon. Right, so just arrived at the town moor. How's that for a sunrise? And then whether or not you can see the moon just going down over that way. And actually the paths aren't as slippy as I thought they were going to be. Frosty, but thankfully not icy. So it's not going to be quite as bad, I think, to run today as I was a little bit worried about. I was going to opt for trail shoes, but I decided to go for the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, which don't have a great deal of grip, but actually they're feeling all right on this surface. Got a tag along in the background there on his bike, the support car, and I'm just doing a little warm-up, running to my start line, which is going to be over in this direction. I'll take it from there. Looks like it's going to be a nice day for a run. is nice and quick. And here we go, we're off. Half marathon number 70. Let's get it done. You joining for the whole route, Stu?
No. I think I'm good done, to be honest.
Right, we're going to say our goodbyes to Stu. Stu, thanks for the support.
Cheers to Albert, on the other side.
Cheers, Stu. So there we are. We are now at a little under 9 kilometres. Nice and steady. Still got the support on wheels. Support mobile. We'll pick the pace up a little bit now and get this last 12k done. Let's go. Right, so I'm coming in now, 19 kilometres, 2 kilometres to go. My GoPro battery has gone flat, which isn't ideal, but it's been a glorious run. It's been absolutely great. The weather couldn't have been any better really, albeit it looked really slippy when we got out this morning. Actually, the frost on the ground isn't actually very slippy. And here we are then, coming in for the finish, and that is it then. So 21.21 kilometres, a little over half marathon distance, and that is half marathon number 70, plus a 55k ultra marathon for the year 2020. It's been a great challenge. We've raised some great awareness for the Campaign Against Living Miserably. Also raised a little under £1,300 at the point of this video, which has been fantastic. £8 helps to answer a call to somebody who is in need of help. It's been a great day for it today for the final run. Lovely weather out here on the town moor. It's crisp, it's a little bit cold, but it's soon warmed up once I got going. There's no wind, which is great on the town moor, because usually the park run runs on this route, and as you go from kilometre 3.5 to 4.5, which is over in that direction, you've usually got a bit of a brutal headwind to contend with, as well as a slight uphill. So it was nice not to have that today, since I've done this lap 4 times round this lap today to cover the full distance. Had a little bit of a support crew in tow. We've got Neil on the bike there who kept me company throughout the duration, and we had Stu drop in for a few kilometres at the start, which was great as well. The support has been fantastic. I'm going to get in the car now, stick the heater on, defrost my fingers a little bit, and then probably wrap it up a little in there. So I will see you in a sec. So that is it then. I'm back home. I've warmed up. I can pretty much feel my entire face and most of my fingers and toes, so almost fully defrosted now, which is great. Fantastic run this morning. I really enjoyed it. I can't help now but feel that there's a little bit of a void in my life. That's the end of 2020. That's the end of my half marathon challenge. So what is going to fill that hole in 2021? I've yet to decide. I'm not sure. I've got a 100-kilometre ultra marathon booked in for June. The training for that will obviously be quite intense. Aside from that, I'm thinking that I want to do a little bit of speed work, see if I can get faster for 5k, 10k and half marathon, but what is going to fill those hours every week, I'm yet to decide, so we'll have to see. But thank you very much for all of your support across the course of this year. I started this channel back in May, I think. It's been a great journey so far. Again, check out my Instagram channel at jamies.running, because that's where I send messages, reply to messages and engage with the majority of my followers on there. And for the final time this year, like, comment, subscribe, all of that sort of great stuff. Share this video with your friends and have a great new year. I will see you in the next one. Yo!